You already caught yourself looking at the ceiling in the middle of the night, wondering, how did I get here? Around you, everything seems right. You fulfill your obligations, do what you expect from you, keep the image, the tone, the control. But inside, there is a discomfort that you can't name. Deep down, you know you're living a life that seems right, but it's not yours. With each choice that does not represent what you feel, every yes that you give with a nan, throat in the throat, with each gesture that hurts its own principles in the name of acceptance, you move away, millimeter per millimeter, from whom you were born to be. This pain you feel is not weakness, it's not confusion. It is the silent cry of your consciousness, begging for consistency. Ralph Waldo Emerson said that true greatness is not to please the world, but to be loyal to himself, even when the whole world demands the opposite. And he was right, because no one wins when he lives in war with his own soul. But the opposite is also true. The moment you stop betraying yourself, the world changes shape, and victory is no longer a search to become a consequence. Today, you will remember who you are. And, more than that, you will learn never to leave yourself. If this message spoke straight to you, subscribe now on the channel. Here, each video is a reunion with your truth, with whom you were before you leave yourself. And if this content touched you, leave your like. It helps this message reach other souls that are also ready to stop betraying. Today we will take all the masks, all the filters, all the comfortable lies that you are telling yourself. Let's talk about why living according to other people's expectations is the fastest way to destroy your own happiness. And most importantly, we will have a script back to yourself. Because once you understand what self-transaction really is and how sabotaging your life, you can never choose unconsciously again. Philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson understood this better than almost anyone in history. He said that the true greatness of a person is in being himself in a world that constantly demands that he is someone else. Think about how deep this is. Every day, from the moment you wake up, the world is sending messages about who you should be, what you should want, as you should think, which should make you happy. Emerson called the most failure, not because he is dramatic or obvious, but because it happens in silence. This happens in the small moments when you bite your tongue instead of telling your truth. This happens when you choose the safe way on the way that excites you. This happens when you say yes when every fiber of your being means no. For Emerson, this was not just a personal problem. He saw this as a spiritual crisis. He believed that everyone has an inner voice, a central essence that knows exactly what is right for her. But most people spend their entire lives running away from this voice, because hearing her requires tremendous courage. It requires you to disappoint people. It requires you to face uncertainty. It requires you to trust more what you trust in the crowd. But here is what Emerson found, that it changed everything. The only soil where true achievement can grow is inner consistency. When your actions align with your deepest values, when your choices reflect your authentic desires, when you stop performing and starts to be, when life becomes magnificent, not because everything becomes easy, but because everything becomes real. It is not about winning for other people. It is not about collecting achievements that look good on social media. It's about winning from the inside out. It's about building a life you don't need to escape. It's about becoming someone you really respect when you look in the mirror. Emerson taught that compliance is the enemy of growth, and that self-confidence is the foundation of all true success. But self-confidence does not mean isolation or selfishness. This means trusting your inner compass enough to navigate it, even when everyone around you are pointing in a different direction. The problem is that most of us are conditioned from childhood to ignore this inner compass. We have been taught that being good means being pleasant. This success means meeting external standards, that love means becoming what others want us to be. But Emerson would say that all this is late. True goodness comes from integrity. Real success comes from authentic achievement. True love comes from appearing as your true self. So how do you break free from auto-tration patterns that may have been years or even decades in formation? How do you recover your authentic voice when you are no longer sure how it sounds? The answer lies in the development of what I call radical self-aging, and begins with 3 transformative practices. Before telling you what these practices are, comment on which part of your life have you been most betrayed lately. Perhaps it is in relationships, decisions, or even the way you shut up before yourself. Putting this into words is the first step to recover your power. Be brave. Say the truth. You are not alone here. First, you need to establish a radical dialogue with yourself before each important decision. This is not just thinking about things. This is getting brutally honest about your motivations. Before you say yes to this project, this relationship, this opportunity, you need to take a break and ask two critical questions. Is that what I want, or is that what I think I want to want? I'm choosing this because you align who I am, or because you align who I think I need to get approval. The difference between these motivations is everything. When you choose authentic desire, you enjoy unlimited energy and creativity. When you choose the obligation or fear of disappointing others, you drain even when you are successful. Most people never ask these questions because they are afraid of answers. They are afraid to find that they are living someone else's life, but here is the truth. Discovering that you live in an inventing way is not the problem. Continuing living this way when you know better is the problem. The moment you start choosing based on your real desires, instead of imagined expectations, your whole life begins to transform. Second, you need to implement what I call the ritual of the truth of the night. Every night before bed, take a diary and write down two things. Where was I loyal to myself today, and where did we betray myself today? This practice will shock you with the clarity it brings. You may realize that you cheated on being silent at a meeting when you had a brilliant idea. You may realize that you cheated on agreeing with plans that drained your energy. You may realize that you cheated by not setting a limit that you desperately needed to define. But you can also realize that you were loyal to yourself, speaking for something you believed, or choosing rest when you needed, or chasing something that really cheered it up. The power of this practice is not only in the consciousness it creates, is in the recognition of standards. After just a few weeks, you will start to see exactly where and how you constantly leave yourself. You will see specific relationships, situations, and decisions where the lie is pleasant to people rather than telling the truth. And as soon as you can see the default, you can start to change it. Clarity does not come from a moment of insight, it comes from consistent practice. He comes from repeatedly asking the difficult questions until he answers them honestly, becomes natural. Most people live their whole life on autopilot, never wondering if their choices actually serve them. This practice wakes you up. Third, you need to cultivate what I call sacred silence. Every day you need to spend at least 5 minutes completely alone with yourself. No phone, no music, no distractions, no agenda. Only you are sitting with you, listening to what emerges from silence. This may seem simple, but for most people it is terrifying. We are so addicted to external stimulation that the thought of being alone with our own thoughts seems overwhelming. But that is exactly why the practice is so powerful. In this silence, in all the noise, opinions and expectations, your authentic voice is waiting. At first you can only hear anxiety or boredom or restlessness. This is normal. These are the sounds of a mind that was trained to always be elsewhere, always be someone else. But if you continue with it, if you allow yourself to be present with what arises, you will start to hear something deeper. You will start listening to your intuition. You will start listening to your real desires. You will start listening to the voice that knows exactly what you need, exactly what you want, exactly who you should be. This voice has been there all the time, but it is drowned out of all the external noise saying who you should be. This practice of sacred silence is not meditation in the formal sense. It is communion with your authentic self. You are checking with you that exists beyond all the roles you play and all the masks you use. It is remembering who you are when no one is watching and no one is judging. But consciousness alone is not enough. You also need to develop the muscle of authentic action. This is where the non-sacred practice comes in. Every day you need to say no to at least one thing that goes against its essence, however small. Perhaps you are saying no to a social event that drains your energy. Perhaps you are saying no to a request that overwhelms your programming. Perhaps you are saying no to a conversation topic that makes you uncomfortable. You may be saying not staying up late when your body needs rest. Specific does not matter as much as the practice of honoring your truth in small but consistent ways. Each time you choose your authentic preference about social expectation, you are building what I call your muscle of authenticity. You are proving to yourself that you can survive other disappointing. You are finding that the world does not end when prioritizing your own needs. You are learning that it is worthy of occupying space, just as it is. Most people think they need to make dramatic changes to live authentically. They think they need to leave their job or end the relationship or move across the country. But authenticity begins much smaller and much more intimate than that. It starts with 1,000 small options to honor your truth. Instead of making someone else's version, you should be. The sacred is not about becoming selfish or reckless. It is about becoming honest. It is a matter of recognizing that when you constantly say yes to things that do not serve you, you are really dishonest with everyone involved. You are pretending to be someone who is not, and this is not fair to you or for them. When you start practicing authentic choices consistently, something magical happens. You stop feeling resentful because you are no longer doing things you don't want to do. You stop feeling exhausted because you are no longer fighting your own nature. You stop feeling empty because you are finally feeding your soul instead of starving. Now I want you to try something with me. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself in a room completely surrounded by mirrors. But while you look around, none of the reflections shows the real you. A mirror shows you with a forced smile, pretending to be happy when you are not. Another shows that you're wearing the successful mask, reaching things that really don't matter to you. Another show that you shrink to fit in spaces that have never been made for you. Each reflection shows a version of you that you have created to please someone else, to meet some external expectation to avoid, disappointing people who may not even be paying attention. See all these distorted versions of yourself and note how exhaustive it is to keep so many different personas. Now imagine that you have the power to break each of these false mirrors. Imagine watching all these false versions of yourself disappear until just one reflection remains, the real you. It's not what you think it should be. It's not what you think would make your parents proud or comfortable friends or your boss impressed. Only you. You, authentic, imperfect, real, powerful you. What is it like to be clearly without masks, filters, or performances? How do you feel in your truth, even if it's not what everyone expects? This is what you are waiting for, you on the other side of the arbitration. This is what becomes possible when you choose loyalty to yourself, about loyalty to other people's expectations. The moment you stop abandoning yourself is the moment you can start building a life that really represents who you are, not who you were instructed to be, not who you think should be. Who you really are in your deepest, true and most authentic core. It's not about becoming perfect, it is about becoming real. It is about choosing integrity instead of approval. It is about trusting yourself enough to disappoint others when disappointing them is the price of remaining faithful to yourself. At the moment, I want you to say something out loud. Say this to me: I choose to be loyal to myself. Say again: I choose to be loyal to myself. Once again: I choose to be loyal to myself. How does this feel in your body? What is it like to make this commitment to yourself? If you are ready to go deeper, I want you to answer this question honestly. In what area of your life did you betray the most? Is it in your career, staying in a job that drains your soul because it looks good on paper? Are you in your relationships, pretending to be someone you are not to avoid conflict? Is it in your daily choices, constantly choosing what you think you should do about what you really want to do? Write it down. Share in the comments if you are brave enough, because recognizing where you have abandoned yourself is the first step to recover your power. It's the first step in building a life you don't have to escape. This journey back to yourself is not always easy, but it is the most important work you will ever do. Every time you choose authenticity about approval, every time you honor your truth, instead of performing someone else's expectations, every time you say no to what drains it, but to what energizes you, you are not just changing your life, you are recovering your soul. If this message resonated with you, sign this channel because every video we created was designed to be a clear mirror. It's not a mirror that shows who you should be, but a mirror that helps you see who you are already under all the layers of conditioning, expectation, and fear. Your authentic self is not something you need to create, it's something you need to find out. It's something you need to remember. It's something you need to choose every day until you choose it. It becomes as natural as breathing. The world needs its authentic voice, needs your real gifts. He needs the contribution that only you can make when you stop trying to be everyone and starts to be brave and without excuses.